Hi, my name is Kelsey Fargo, and I have worked as a behavioral therapist for 3 years. I work for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders in San Diego, California, and Full Circle Counseling Solutions in Missoula, Montana. I have worked with over 40 children on the autism spectrum, ranging from low functioning to high functioning and Asperger's. First, I'm going to talk about visual and audio aids. These are essential in working with kids on the spectrum. First of all, every child with autism is different, just like every typical child is different. So you have to learn their individual strengths and weaknesses as well as understanding their behaviors. Every child with autism has certain behaviors that we need to bring down, such as aggression, tantrums, and then they have behavioral excesses, and those are things that they're engaging too much in. So these can be visual stimulation, which means that they like to sit and flip a piece of paper on, look at it from the side, because that is visually stimulating to them. Or it could be auditory stimulation. So first, before you do any kind of aid for them, you have to understand their behaviors. Understanding their behaviors, the best people to talk to are obviously the parents and the professionals that are already working with them, such as their behavioral therapist, their occupational therapist, speech therapist, or any aids that they have. Some visual aids that I have used in working with kids on the spectrum, I've used the PECS system, which is the Picture Exchange System. This is a communication tool for kids that are usually nonverbal, which means that they cannot speak. And sometimes they do sign and do gestures, but mostly they are nonverbal. This is a great system. They have a little binder, and you have to chain and train. Chaining is a way of teaching children to use this to communicate. I've also used an iPad, visual schedules on the iPad, as well as visual schedules on a piece of paper. The iPad is a phenomenal tool, and an important thing to know is on April 1st every year, that's National Autism Awareness Day, autism-related apps are sometimes free or discounted, which is really great. There is endless amounts of tools that you can use in your classroom on the iPad, and in some states, depending on autism waivers, I know in the state of Montana, if you qualify for the autism waiver, you can get money to help you, and sometimes that is, I've had clients get iPads that are nonverbal and they need it, and they've used programs such as Proloco, which is a program used to actually help them communicate. And sometimes when in a classroom, a kid that can't use their basic communication skills, you'll have behaviors arise because they're not getting their basic needs met. Sometimes a huge outburst of aggression can be due to they just need to go to the bathroom. Small groups are essential in working with kids with autism because large groups can be intimidating. They can be intimidating to anyone, and someone that is kind of in their own world, that can be more intimidating. So a lot of the things I'll do is I'll take a typical child and I'll bring them with the child that I'm working with. Modeling is one of the greatest things for a child on the spectrum, to see how that other child works in circumstances. And a lot of parents in the classroom are willing to have their child go out and help with these activities. Predictable structures are important in a classroom with a child with autism because they need to know what's coming up next. When I was working with a little girl at Head Start in Missoula, we had to do a visual schedule with her for the day because if she didn't know what the next activity was, that's when her behaviors came out, her negative behaviors. And we don't want that because that interrupts the whole flow of the classroom. So we use things as visual schedules, timers. Timers are an amazing feature in your classroom, and you can even do timers in things such as a reward system. Reward systems are great. So your child is really struggling when coming in your classroom, putting her backpack away. So if you do a reward system for every time she puts her backpack away, she gets a sticker, and if she gets the 5 stickers that week, then she gets a lollipop at the end of the week. That's a great tool to use in your class. Utilizing personal interest. Every child that I worked with loves something different. So I have had kids that are obsessed with Yo Gabba Gabba, or obsessed with Disney princesses, and you just have to learn the things that they're interested in so you can utilize that in either a reward system, a visual schedule. If I've even found pictures of one little boy that I worked with was in love with Mickey Mouse. So we found pictures of Mickey brushing his teeth, Mickey um, eating lunch or whatever, and we used that in a visual schedule for him, and that was a really good way to engage him in whatever we were trying to teach him. I think that it's really important also to have a calm space in your classroom. The little girl that I was speaking of earlier that was at Head Start, she needed to have a calm space, so we actually went and got a cardboard box from a hardware store, and we put Christmas lights on top, and we put pillows and squishy balls inside, and it was her space that when she needed to take a break, she went in there and really calmed her body down. And you had to teach her why we went in there, and we practiced it. One of the most important things for something like a calm space is to practice them when they are completely calm. So that way when they need that, they have learned it in a way that it's not stressful. If you don't teach it to them beforehand and you're trying to teach it to them when they're escalated, they're not going to learn to go in there to de-escalate. So that's a really great idea. Honestly, the internet is an amazing resource for ideas, and as well as I mentioned earlier, the parents are your number one resource, as well as the other professionals working with that child. And I really think in every situation, you have to know that every child on the spectrum is different. And I said this earlier, and be very sensitive and understanding to every parent, because school is a scary thing for every parent to send their child, as well as this child on the spectrum.